Hey, here's the deal, right? There's one place I see unanimous praise for WoW right now, mostly, and that is this seasonal content. Mythic Plus is better than ever, gearing is solved in many ways. At the very least, WoW will now always respect your time when you go and you do that content, and you feel like you progress. Alt friendliness is an all-time high, so why does the world feel a bit empty? Why, when patch 10.1 seems like an absurd win for the game? A fantastic new raid, Mythic Plus, one of the pillars of the game, pretty much being in its best state, perhaps ever, gearing finally being solved, a host of class design work, big new campaign, and all of that being shortly after 10.0.7, why does it feel a bit grim? Why does it feel like there's some doom out there? Why does interest seem a bit low? Why has quite a lot of that negative perception stuck? Well, it's not because of our sponsor. Shortform, they're one of my favorite services on the whole internet. They are so much more than just book summaries. Their team does the heavy lifting for you, adding stunning value to supercharge your learning. Shortform.com/Bellular Warcraft. You'll find 5 days unlimited access and an extra 20% off the annual sub there. I mean, take a book that I love, Principles by Ray Dalio. On Shortform, you can hit up their one-pager, right? Their one-page summary of the book. And if that piques your interest, you can dive in further with their full book guide, where you'll find they have done so much heavy lifting and the stuff that's real value. They will give you key context of the book's creation. They will help you understand the perspective of the author. It's not just a book summary, it's more of a book co-pilot. They actually network thought. They will smartly bring in opinions from other books, other authors, to give you a complete picture and actually understand multiple perspectives. They've got exercises for each guide that they do, so you can actually apply what you learn. And I love their fully narrated audio on the app, which is great for taking a walk. Basically, it's just the limitless pill for learning the knowledge of books, which is great. So check them out, shortform.com/Bellular Warcraft for 5 days of unlimited access for free and an extra 20% off the annual sub. First impressions matter. They dictate whether someone will bother to come back next week. If day 1 isn't amazing, day 7 won't happen. 10.1 had a strange day 1. Our campaign kicked off strong. We saw new systems, and within a few hours, you'd be entirely done. The game at that point felt like a cavern with not much else to do in it. If patch day is over so quick, or the promise of more content isn't clearly shown in-game, then people's first feeling will be mixed. And unfortunately, there's more that didn't help. Bugs. They were rough. Multiple public events bugged. Because public events didn't show up on your map until you were close to them, many people didn't even know they existed. The game does show them now, thanks to a hotfix, but that almighty first impression of barrenness, of a zone that had nothing new to offer because researchers under fire wasn't there, a whole bunch of stuff wasn't there, that was a bad day 1 experience. Then the campaign. Look, it started strong, I think, but it was a bit odd. It ended after the freeing of Farak, but without really diving into the promise of Aberrus in a way that would make the raid exciting to somebody who logged in day 1 of the patch. We, yes, got to see some Black Dragon family drama, but little of great world-shattering impact, which is what an MMO like this is really supposed to do to get people engaged, actually happened. I mean, sure, Farak torched some Niffin, but the Niffin themselves, while charming and goofy, are kind of little Flanderizations of themselves, and they're not the sort of thing that, like with, say, the Orcs, the Tauren, the Night Elves of Warcraft 3, are the sort of vibe that'll get people excited. Plus, after the torching of Loam, it's not really like the destruction they felt was brought up again in the narrative. They feel like a side faction then, with the main faction just being a small family drama. Much of it I did like, I will say that, but I must ask, is that the sort of thing that will make an MMO exciting? Is that even close to the likes of Argus, where the player almost gets smashed by Agrimar in the very first thrust? So in short, there's a lack of cool factor in this content that otherwise is solid. Because yes, cozy emotional talks are fine, but you're going to need a degree of scale, a degree of world in that Warcraft. To put it simply, there's not enough epic going on. Where is the action-packed questline where we, using dragon riding, chase Farak across the land, defend places with the Aspect's aid? Dragon family drama is nice, but it's a side story. 10.1 shipped without the narrative main event, essentially, right? It was a bunch of foregrounding. It was spending a bunch of time clearing Sibelian of some corruption. It didn't do a great job of setting up the raid. Farak just pissed off. And that means that the seasonal content-oriented players were left emotionally unmotivated in the new raid, but for everybody else, it just felt like a load of nothing. Sure, there might have been a good story there, but it wasn't an exciting story for the world of Warcraft. We had all those renowns in 10.1. While they are represented in those Farak assaults, again I say, where is the spectacle? Where is the big, exciting campaign? And to cap it off, you didn't even get the Wilderdrake mount in week 1. Even though you were earning appearances for it. And that's bizarre. Blizzard's own communications weren't even clear on that issue. And then there's the Blue Dragon questline. Everyone expected it, but it wasn't there on launch, and we wouldn't know why for like 2 weeks, by which time the damage was done because first impressions had stuck. Now, sure, we can argue things about why the assaults, the Farak assaults, are seasonal content and so had to be delayed, but I will say this, strip away the convention of the game and the seasons. Think about what matters to someone when they first log into a brand new patch. 1 week of Farak gear would not have killed the game. But okay, bugs. Researchers under fire, loads of bugs. Within a fortnight of a release, it's now for me half incompletable when I go to it, like incompletable 12 out of 12 without using the pre-made group finder because the zone population, either because of lowish player numbers in the world or overly aggressive sharding, is just not high enough. Multiple public events bugged on day 1, as I said. Farak assaults for me had a whole bunch of bugs. There was a repeated behavior where the bar would fill up and Farak wouldn't spawn in week 1. Raids on week 1 of the new season weren't dropping flight stones. I didn't mind, I was mostly having a brilliant time in the game, but for many people, those bugs were very annoying and they damaged their day 1 perceptions. Now you know what? 10.0.7 had a pretty damn good rare circle as far as a rare circle form of gameplay goes. Those rares, there are plenty of them, they had surprisingly chunky health, and they seemed to spawn in a cadence where you could just flap around for an hour and a half always just killing boys. Surprisingly strong player populations were there on the Reach. There was a constant flow when I played it. But we really have just been having kill rares patch zones for a long ass time, and they're getting dull, especially compared to the expansion's launch where we had a few new types of world quest, we had various events and grindable reps. The rares were not as important, they were just a sprinkling of spice rather than something that felt like the main event. And with public events having a understated week 1 impact, people just felt, oh, Zaralek Cavern, you kill rares all day for 1 Drake crest. That's what you do. Well, sorry, 1 Drake crest fragment. So, the thing here is, in the Forbidden Reach, all those rares led you into the far more chunky content that was the Zaralek Vault. And that meant there was an overall virtuous cycle, a good gameplay loop, where the Vault and the Onyx Annulet could elevate the Forbidden Reach. 10.1 has an answer to that, Sniffin' Seeking, but it really isn't as successful. I will be clear, I like this feature, I've said as much, but a piece of content to sink your teeth into, it is not. These little treasure rooms range from fine to good, and they're very quick. Currently limited to 3 a character a week, they are gone in the blink of an eye. And while they are a neat thing to do, they're too sparse to matter that much. I just know that they could have done wonderful things here, made them more in-depth, made them longer, but perhaps this is a case of the development pace being a bit too relentless. So Blizzard, here's a free win, right? Update the Scara Vaults. Keep them relevant in the game right now. Use Aberrus as a tie-in, which would mean that it would make sense, somehow, that we would still get Vault keys by doing stuff in the Zaralek Cavern. Have the Vault give us Adventurer gear, or maybe even the odd bit of Veteran gear. maybe some materials and other useful things. Because the Scarab Vaults are a terrific piece of content. They are indeed better than the sniff and seeking of patch 10.1, but right now they are needlessly dead, because while the Onyx Amulet is still useful to many players, the Forbidden Reach to me has always been dead, and that does mean that getting keys for the vault is not a pleasant experience. So, take that free win, because I'll tell you, if I spent a bunch of time in the Zaralek Cavern and I got 18 Scarab Vault keys, I would head into that vault and maybe I'd have 45 minutes, half an hour, whatever it is, of fun. Okay, researchers under fire. This event is actually great when it works, and it is really promising for the core of the game, and it does feel like a core part of the Zaralek Cavern zone. Because they were not available on week 1, the zone felt really bare, really empty, and really undercooked. So it should have been there from week 1. The likes of this event give us more MMO world content in a sort of MMO feeling way, that bit of Guild Wars 2 spice that WoW's ever needed. Holding it back until after First Impression solidified, Blizzard was a bad idea, as was launching it full of bugs. So 10.1's launch was, to say the very least, miscalibrated. It snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. Just a week after, Blizzard would release a season that to me is a humongous win. Everyone that I know in the game is actually kind of thrilled. We are loving gearing, we are playing the game with each other so much more, we are engaging in far more content, we have loads of KSM people. Personally, I'm going for Keystone Conqueror. No, not Conqueror, Hero. I want to get 2500, unlock the cool thing for the gear. I'm really engaged. It is damn happy times, we're eating good, and I am filled with excitement and motivation for playing WoW right now on my main, doing a few alts, and then looking to the future. And oh yeah, let's talk about the future. I'm excited about this because I'm already enjoying the seasonal content, but that is evidently not the case for many, especially those for whom the World of Warcraft is more than just some instant content at endgame. So shipping content is great. Shipping it fast is great. Content is king, but people have got to know about that content. You can't assume that people will love it just because you are you and you made the content. So, think back to patch 5.4, right? It had a trailer that was so good that people got absolutely pumped. For a World of Warcraft patch, 5.4 is the gold standard of effective marketing. It got people hyped for the concept. So, why then is the patch Fractures in Time being announced via a blog post? I mean, did Blizzard just know that the Sarkareth cinematic wasn't a major content tease, and did they therefore rush a blog post out just to say, yeah, look, we know that Sarkareth didn't have a big tease at the end, but here, there's content. But either way, I've seen loads of people just not care about 10.1.5, or overtly just say, it's more of the same, who cares? And the thing is, when you dive into it, you look into the data mining, it's not. I mean, let's see, right? We witness when Nosdormu becomes Morozond, right as we travel back to one of the most pivotal points in the setting's history, sat against the backdrop of Galakrond, a dragon whose head is comparable to, multiple districts of Stormwind City. This is a dragon larger than a city. This is crazy shit. We see a bunch of characters that we know of course, and we are getting into things that we've been speculating about since, the final patch of Cataclysm. Actually, no, since we found out the identity of the leader of the Infinite Dragonflight in the Bronze Dragon Shrine in Wrath of the Lich King. That is how long we've been speculating about what will essentially be dealt with in this patch. And whatever happens, this patch leads to time rifts, a whole new type of feature, this sort of event-driven world content where we're going to a host of wild different Azerothian timelines. This narrative could be, this is a narrative that could be the inciting event of a new expansion in any other time. It could be a major patch in any other time. And even as a minor patch, it looks content stacked. So it looks cool, it sounds cool, it should be exciting, but to incite excitement, you have to show, not tell. You have to make an amazing trailer, not a dry blog post. And that takes me back to the theme of today's video, first impressions count. If the best you can muster is a blog post, then how do you expect people to get excited? So, this new content development pace is fantastic, but in order to properly leverage that development work, you have to get the word out about it. You have to have marketing and storytelling match, because good marketing is storytelling that appeals to us on an emotional level, and that's why we get excited. We don't get excited because we sit down and we think, here are my needs as a gamer, a bunch of problems that I want to have solved. Let's see. I will look at this blog post and see if this new blog post full of content is going to match my needs as a gamer. That's not how it works. You see something, you get excited emotionally, and you want it. And if you want to know why Warlords of Draenor and Battle for Azeroth had chunky sales spikes and successful marketing, look at those cinematic trailers. The difference now is Blizzard actually has the content cadence to back that marketing up. If people are going to work their asses off to make this content happen, it is only right that this content gets the public awareness campaign that it deserves. Even WoW Doomers can be excited. You just have to, rather than tell, make them feel, because they're actually humans as well. Okay, that is why I think that patch 10.1 and the broad situation with WoW right now is falling short of its potential. Its very real quality, how a semblance of defeat is being snatched from the jaws of victory. Now, even with these losses, I will remember 10.1 as the patch that got me to dive headlong into the harder group content again, and has really got me excited about the gameplay experience of WoW more than I have been in a very, very long time. I will see it as the patch that fixed the one system we've been debating for years, gearing. Right? But as much as all that positivity is in my heart, I also have got to sit down and try to explain reality. That is what I think it is, and that is it for this video. So, of course, big thanks to our sponsor for supporting us in this content. And next up, if you want to see some actually amazing stuff that you've got to try and play in 10.1, because I can guarantee it's a blast, check out this video next, and have a great day.